What's up, everybody? This isn't the typical show I'd review, but American sports story Aaron Hernandez premiered on FX and Hulu yesterday, and man, is it a powerful show. Since it's based on real events, there will, of course, be spoilers for the first two episodes, as well as the rest of the show in my reviews here, so you've been warned. Now let's get into this tragic story. I'm gonna start with episode one here, and I want to say before, I guess, kind of as like a disclaimer, given the story I'm gonna cover here the next couple months, these reviews are kind of focused solely on the key points of the episodes for me. So not really like my typical pro con sort of thing, but more so taking in these performances and how they bring a new understanding for parts of Aaron Hernandez's life. So with that being said, episode one gets off to an incredible start, setting the tone with a bad night out, which that's a light way of putting it, of course, as it opens on a 2013 night where Aaron's paranoia gets the best of him in a club. That leads him and his friend Alexander Sherrod Bailey to an empty work site where Aaron ends up shooting Bradley in the eye, Carl Grimes style. It was truly brilliant starting with this moment, which, to be fair here, is based on shaky testimony from Sherrod in the actual trial that took place and the award ceremony this year too that they show in the show before we go back to his childhood for the rest of the episode is great. That childhood was not a nice one as his father was rather abusive, both physically and mentally, but also in his own sick and twisted way, he's incredibly proud of Aaron. I thought Vincent Loresca did a damn good job bringing that to life, and the scene after Aaron gets home from seemingly hooking up with another guy for the first time, it displayed it all just perfectly. That was also probably the scene where I realized Josh Rivera was a great pick to portray this man as he's just incredible when showing how Aaron walked on glass around his father and what that does to a young man internally. Now, I did think they pulled the trigger on his father's death just a bit early. We got like one game and a couple looks at their home life, including the pressure to follow his brother and his father to UConn to play football. But all that's not to say this isn't incredibly impactful still in the show. That stuff we got enough, and I came in with enough knowledge. It still works well, especially as Urban Meyer in Florida come into the picture right after this. Then going back to Josh Rivera's performance, one of the things this show does almost perfectly is putting you into Aaron's rage and paranoia. We got two great displays some of the on the field tendencies that he had, that in hindsight his teammates did find very concerning. And one was on the football field, and the truly moving one was when his aunt and his mom get into a fight at his basketball game because of the affair that his mom had with his uncle, I believe it is now, I guess. That's a messy thing. All of that, I mean, starting from his upbringing and the abuse he suffered to losing his father, who he did care for about despite all the shit, to his family being shattered by the affair, all while he's discovering his sexuality, takes us right to when Florida finds Aaron, and this is probably the true turning point in his life. Steve Adizio pulls up next to Aaron as he's walking on the sidewalk and presents him with an opportunity for a new family, and that's essentially all he needs right now, which in most cases, it is true that when you're on a sports team, you're joining a new family, but this team he was joining, it's not your ordinary team. Then once he gets down to Florida on his visit, Urban Meyer reinforces those familiar appeals to joining the team and presses the perfect buttons to finish it off. This visit, when his father, for better or for worse, never would have let him go on, was detrimental to his future, in my opinion. Alright, before we get into episode 2, I wanted to take a second to thank you for stopping by the Nerdverse. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're a newcomer here so you don't miss out on any of my coverage for this show or Agatha and the Penguin, which both start this week too, and those will be more of my traditional breakdowns for the week, with this one being kind of the outlier. Thank you once again for stopping by the Nerdverse. Now let's get into episode 2. This second episode here picks up with Aaron and the best class in college football history, according to Urban Meyer, down in Gainesville, Florida, and I really enjoyed this stuff. Even the practice and the games they shot and show aren't that terrible, especially compared to some other like Netflix football shows. But I liked what we saw of Patrick Schwarzenegger as Tim Tebow, and I can't wait to see more of them together at Florida. But that first time he gets Aaron out of trouble is just crazy. I also love the casting of the Pouncey brothers. Like, just seeing this team that this troubled 17-year-old teen was around all day, every day with no true role model, it just sheds a new light seeing that with Josh Rivera's performance on top. Then I surprisingly enjoyed how they do a bit of a time jump with the mix of game footage and new stuff they shot, mostly of Tony Yazbek on the sideline as Urban Meyer during that 2007 season where Aaron first played. The time jump also helped us to get to a point where Bo and Ortiz come down to visit from Connecticut, and that's when shit gets real after Aaron's already been in trouble and gone to Urban Meyer's home and had dinner with his family as the two seemingly shot and killed the guys who had started beef in the bar with them earlier. And that brings us to good old Urban Meyer. He's sprinkled throughout the end of episode 1 and this entire episode, but he seriously has to be the worst thing to have ever come into Aaron's life. He's jarringly similar to Aaron's father with how he treats him on the field and off, but the off the field stuff is far more concerning, at least to me. And I absolutely love how relentlessly the show has just torched him. The scene with his wife where he's just crying about, oh, if I don't win, and how he can't win without any of the great players who are horrible off the field, demonstrated how little he cared about the humans perfectly, and then he sends Cam Newton away and keeps Aaron, suspending him for the season opener against Hawaii the next year. That was an incredibly powerful premiere, and hitting the audience with the incident with him and Sherrod right off the bat was brilliant, as I said. Seeing the emotions and feeling them thanks to the performances was unbelievably moving for me here, and I really didn't think that it would be. I thought it would be interesting, but not as moving as it was. And this could have been the whole story as I saw everything that I personally needed to see to understand this tragic life. But that is where it's so powerful because there's so much more we haven't explored yet, and it's already so tragic after just 2 episodes. And so that'll do it for my review of the first 2 episodes of American Sports Story, Aaron Hernandez. It's both moving and unsettling feeling for this man, but that's the beauty of art, and this show does an incredible job presenting and dramatizing his life. Let me know what you thought of the first 2 episodes, though, down in the comments below, and make sure you have a great day.